Hello. Picture yourself, your ancestors, 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. Picture them walking across the tundra. They got up in the morning, maybe they belonged to a band of people that they call a tribe. And picture what life was like for them, because I want us to get insight into how our own brains are wired through our genes. And you know what? Who survived century after century? It was the ones who were alert to their environment. It was the ones who were concerned that could something run around the corner? Could something jump out of the bush and eat me up? The people who genetically were able to pass on their genes because they were alive were the ones who were hyper alert and concerned and were anticipating issues all the time. The people who are just lying around and sitting around the campfire and being happy and talking and just sort of spacing out and not thinking about what was in front of them, they sometimes got attacked and eaten by dinosaurs or by saber-toothed tigers or, by a neighboring tribe. So my point is this, that all of us are programmed genetically because we're the survivors of the people who were alert. It's called, in the world of psychology, the negative bias. We've got a genetic negative bias. We are taught to pay attention to what's not happening, to what's not okay. And, it's served us great throughout history, but it's a real detriment to our living and our health today. And I'm Dr. David Rosensweet, and you've tuned into I Wonder Doctor Live, our second segment in which we address issues of how to improve how we respond to our life and how to improve how we respond to stress. And today we're starting a new series called Living is Good for Your Health. And look at this, we have an esteemed guest with us. Someone I'm very familiar with.
Yes, you are, Dad.
You might even be able to see the resemblance. So really today we want to address cup half empty. And before I do, I'd like to give you a phone number to call into if you have any issues yourself. We love to address those on air if you feel comfortable doing so. It's 888-502-8886. You're live on I Wonder Doctor. And cup half empty.
Cup half empty. We were talking about this earlier, and that's an old saying. We know that one for a long time. Do we go through life looking at a cup half empty or half full? And I was combining that in my own head with how do I perceive someone's character? And what I notice is that I can have a bias one way or another with someone. And there's another saying out there called someone's greatest strength is their greatest weakness, right? Someone who's really got strength can also be a jerk. Mm-hmm. Someone who's a good listener might sometimes be passive. And I have seen in myself and others a couple tendencies. One of them is early on in relationship to see the cup half full with a person, meaning their quality we see as their greatest strength. If we've been seeking someone really strong in our life, that take charge attitude that person has is amazing and we love it. And then we're in a relationship with this person for a while. And then we just start to see them as kind of a pushy jerk. Which one is true? Well, they're both true. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is we've got this life to live in where we don't spend our entire time stressed and angry. And one of the parts that I think really helps that is how do I choose to perceive the people around me? I can ignore the facts that they've got qualities I don't like or they've got things they've got to work on, and I'm not saying that at all. But what actually serves me best when I enter a room with someone and they are doing their thing, their leading character strengths are leading. Am I going to see them in the way I might have seen them early on in the relationship as a strong person or a sweet person, or am I going to see them the flip side where I've come to dislike it as the angry person? I know I'm sort of repeating myself.
Well, it's coming back to one aspect of this complex issue,
Yeah.
because we're humans and we are complex, called cup half empty,
Yeah.
cup half full. And of the many places we could go here, one thing is how you see that person is going to make a tremendous difference in how the experience together unfolds.
Yeah.
And this, we started off the first hour of I Wonder Doctor, and I was telling you the story of how I was entering that conversation with that doctor, and I was a little judgmental about how slow she was thinking and how uncomfortable she was at the beginning. And I was irritated, and I wanted to, and then I caught myself doing that, and I just decided to let go, let her be, let my own uncomfortable feelings be, and then I arrived at the moment.
Yeah.
And then instead of doing what I've done plenty of times in my past, where I was a little irritated at someone, and you know, you'd be irritated at someone, either openly or even hiddenly suppressed, and tell me how they're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, very few people are spacious enough, at peace enough, at home enough in themselves that they're not going to be adversely affected by us judging them and being uptight around them, even though we've got a smile on our face. My belief is about people is they feel everything. They know everything. Human beings are really smart and intelligent. They may be not totally conscious of it, but...
And we want to be seen. And we want to be seen for our strengths. And we don't want to just constantly be berated for the things we're not doing fantastically well. And I'll hold for myself that when I actually live this very much, I'm very blessed. But in those times where someone is constantly only seeing the parts of myself that I need to be working on, i.e. they're berating me for what I'm not doing well,
and many people have been severely damaged by this. They grew
Yeah.
up in a household where one or both of the parents were extremely judgmental, only looking at the person's faults.
Yeah.
And these people barely crawl out into adulthood. They're nervous. They're concerned about themselves. Am I okay? They have self-esteem issues. They lose contact with being present in the moment because they don't feel at home in their own body because they've been constantly judged. Well, the psychological annals are just loaded with a lot of folks who got shamed, got judged. So let's cut to a practice here. How do we want to be? I know what works for me. I mean, if I notice that I'm looking at the cup half full, maybe there's a reason. Maybe I'm supposed to be paying attention. Maybe I'm in a business deal and I'm feeling uncomfortable, and that is an alert to me that maybe I ought to pay a little closer attention and not sign on the dotted line until the next day because I'm uncomfortable. So feeling uncomfortable is to be respected. Many people go into relationship, they're out on a first date and they feel uncomfortable, and they examine why they're uncomfortable, and they pay attention to why they're uncomfortable, and they start seeing character flaws in the person that they're on the date with, and they need that discomfort. They want to honor and respect. They want to really focus on why am I uncomfortable?
You're going back to where you began, that we develop these skills for a reason. Sometimes they save our lives.
Exactly.
The cute little kitty is actually a saber-toothed tiger, and we better know it.
Don't go pet it.
Yeah.
And so we always want to start, if we're uncomfortable, by asking the question why, and maybe there's a reason. And if we pay attention, we're awake, we're the ones who are going to be able to genetically survive. Whereas someone else who said, I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to suppress that, I'm going to be a nice person, and out leaps the tiger. Or you sign the business deal that messes up your financial situation for years. Or you go on the date and you marry the person when you were feeling uncomfortable in the first place, and you never should have done it. And you look back and go, how could I possibly have done that? So we want to respect uncomfortable feelings, but sometimes it's not that. So we need more than one skill. So best skill is we are to zero in on the truth of why we're uncomfortable. You could, if you zero in, if you pay attention rather than avoid the discomfort, you pay close attention, maybe you'll see, I'm uncomfortable at this dinner on this new date because, oh my God, I'm so attracted to this person. I'm so excited. I can hardly sit in my own skin. Okay, I'm going to let myself be nervous because there's a process to go through, but it wasn't because you think they're terrible. It's because you were very excited to be with them. Or maybe it's because both. Maybe it's because you're excited to be with them, and there's some things to be on the lookout for. I mean, I can't tell you how many young people that I've counseled that when you're on that first date, let's say you're a young woman and you're on that date and you're feeling uncomfortable at the dinner table and you start paying attention. Why am I uncomfortable here? And the young man or the young woman, I mean, this isn't a gender thing, is talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And then the waitress comes up, and I've used this example before, and the person of interest is still talking, and then the waitress goes away, and then you go, I'm uncomfortable. So I'm going to use a technique called flush that other person out into the open. Find out what the truth is. So you respect your discomfort, and you say, you know, I've been really excited to be on this date, and I find myself excited to be here with you. Yet I must say that ever since we sat down to dinner, you've just been talking and talking and talking, and I started drifting away, started wondering if you were interested in me at all. And then the waitress came up, and it's a busy restaurant, and you're just making her sit there, and you're not paying any attention to her. So I got concerned. I mean, I want someone who's interested in me, and I want someone who's sensitive to the people in their environment. And so that's flushing them out in the open. And here's two choices that could emerge at this point. The other person that you're on the date with could say, oh, you're just so picky. I mean, my God, I'm trying to tell you what I'm like. And the waitress can wait. I mean, she's just a waitress in a restaurant. This is really about you and I. And geez, are you always this picky? That's possibility number one. Or the person goes, oh my God, thank you for saying something. I'm a little embarrassed. I can do that. I can go off on a tangent there and not pay attention to what you're thinking and feeling, and I wasn't paying attention to the waitress. I'm so grateful you said something. I promise that I'm going to pay more attention to this than ever before, because this is not what I really want. Option B means you've got an imperfect human being who was making some errors there, but they were wide open and willing to listen to what you had to say and what you wanted. That means you can communicate to that human being.
I know why you went here.
Yes.
I think this is good stuff.
Yes.
But where you really went back to was, if we're Pollyanna and we don't face who a human really is and we ignore the parts of them that are damaged, that doesn't work either. We have this biological imperative to see someone's weaknesses and call them out.
Yeah.
And so we're in complex territory. But what you actually did was sort of flip to the opposite, and I want to go back to where we began, which was to, and not to, and I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we need that.
Yeah.
As many of you know, I've got 2 daughters, and what do I want for them?
Yeah.
I want them to understand this.
Yeah, that's right.
But this subject to me, what we opened with, was actually the flip side of that, and that's how do we choose to perceive people?
Yeah.
And do we look for the parts of them that are wonderful?
Yeah.
Do we look for the parts of them that are smart? Do we look for the parts of them that are beautiful? Do we look for those things? Especially the closer in our inner circle they are, which way are we going to choose to, how do I look at
my my point in the opening was, we got to realize and be kind to ourselves that we're genetically programmed for the cup half empty.
Yeah.
We're genetically programmed to look at the problems.
Yeah.
And and this does not work as a long-term strategy. It injures relationships. It doesn't allow them to grow, and then your worst case scenario is pretty fulfilled for you because you're looking at, what's up with this person. They start to know they're under a microscope there, and that you're actually judging them and you're actually uncomfortable about them. What happens to them? They get uncomfortable. They get on guard. They pull back because we're very sensitive folks, all of us. And so you have your worst nightmare. You went and created it. Whereas if you're able to see the person for what they are, well, let's cut to the chase. How do you get to see the person for what they are? Let's say they're a little nervous. Let's say they are showing one of their more uncomfortable sides to you.
Yeah.
For one thing, you've got to know that beneath that surface, there is a beautiful being. And you know what? It's true about every single human being, rock, tree on this planet. Beneath the surface ruffles, there's our soul. There's who we are. And then the question is, if they make you feel uncomfortable, how can you change the venue there, the circumstance? You can notice you're uncomfortable. And you can say, okay, I'm uncomfortable. And we told this story. I told this story when I was talking to a doctor in our first hour.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to take my focus off the splinter in their eye and take a look at the telephone pole in my eye, which is I'm uncomfortable. I'm uneasy. I'm anxious. And what you've done is you've gone and accepted yourself in the moment. That opens up the space to accept the moment. That opens up the space for you to show up in the moment, and that helps them breathe easier because they're no longer under fire.
This is such complex stuff.
I know.
And it's beautiful. I love it all. And you know, we're on slightly divergent stories, what
Yes.
we're telling here. And,
Yeah.
and everything you say, I'm totally with. And I just keep wanting to go back to mine.
Sure, please do.
And you've told the simple story of being in a beautiful place like a beach and missing it.
Yeah.
Missing that beauty around you.
Yes, exactly.
And then two people can sit on the exact same beach and have two entirely different experiences.
Exactly.
One is feeling the uncomfortable sand in their shorts and it's a little too hot, and it's gone to a restaurant and hated the waiter and ruined my experience rather
Right.
than seeing the delicious food I was served. And that to me, back to humans, is a choice we can make with the humans.
Yes.
And it does, by the way, require really showing up in the moment. So if I've said I'm going to look for that person's beautiful qualities, rather than the assumptions of who I think they are or the surface that they're showing to me, I'm going to look a little deeper.
Yeah.
Look under the surface. See why. Why are they mad? What
Yeah.
happened in their day or their week or their life that got them to this point? What beauteous little child is underneath that surface? That process of me showing up for that, just like me showing up for the pretty beach, is really healthy for me. It brings me into that moment, and it shows me that the full
The
part
real
of that
world in that moment.
yeah, the right. And also, the other thing it does is as soon as I show up for someone's beauty, their faults didn't go away. I didn't become Pollyanna and just see them as, oh, the perfect person with no faults, but I have balance. And by remembering to look for their beauty, I don't forget everything else, but I see it more clearly. So actually what I end up seeing is the whole person in front of me, rather than the perception that I was creating that for me will start with a negative bias of all the negative stuff that they are, or I'm assuming them to be. And I'll do that one with you, by the way, right? We've got a lifetime's history together, which means we've got some baggage. I would say as little baggage as probably most sons and dads on this planet, but we got it, right?
Yes, definitely.
And in my less wise moments, if you're having any outward thing that I'm not liking, I can wrap you up into everything I've perceived you to be rather than the person who's actually just right in front of me. And I'm not seeing you, I'm seeing an image of you. And because my cup is half empty, it's a negative cup. And so I've dragged myself down really quickly by just missing you and missing your beauty. And like you already said, and what happens? I don't bring out your best qualities.
Right.
So then you don't bring out me. You can just confirm. You confirm
takes
everything
off
I
in a
thought I knew
bad
about
direction.
you. Yeah.
And to get practical about it,
Yeah.
if you're in a situation with somebody, for example, and you're uncomfortable, what's the way out? It's the way in. What I make the choice to do is, I am going to zero in here and be conscious of exactly what's going on. And the elephant in the room that will be giving me trouble will be my own discomfort. And if I can accept my own uncomfortableness, I can then accept the moment for exactly what it is. And if I'll just stay with that, I find almost invariably, all I have to do is show up in the moment and accept what's going on in me and accept what's going on in the other person. And that leads to the best opportunity I have for things to blossom, things to move out of the discomfort zone, especially if I don't have any agenda. My only agenda is I'm going to zero in on the moment and I'm going to be here in the moment and I'm going to accept exactly what's going on in me and I'm going to let go of any agenda that I've got to get better, I've got to feel better, or this person better get better, and if they don't get better, I'm going to flush them out of my day and out of my life or whatever. No. The practice is, notice when you're uncomfortable, show up. What does that mean? It means you become conscious of what you're thinking and feeling. And then you shift that. You made that choice, and you mentioned that. You make a choice. I choose to be in the moment. I choose to feel what I'm feeling. I choose to accept what I'm feeling. I choose to accept what's going on. Thank you very much. And then you're back in the river. You're back in the current of life. You're actually in the stream of life moving. And it does move. So often, I mean, when I told that story about talking to the doctor, that's what I chose to do. I chose to dive into that moment, be there, and then I saw the beauty in her. Because I was accepting and one with my own discomfort, and I was accepting and one with her own discomfort. And then sure enough, I saw the beauty because I accepted what was not beautiful. So the practice is show up and experience what's actually going on and accept it. I'm not saying change it, I'm not saying healing it. Not so easy to accept things that you don't like. I'm not saying accept bad behavior, or don't say no to bad behavior, or don't say no to inappropriate aggression, and have boundaries. Yeah, those are actions you can take. But what I'm saying under most circumstances, show up in the moment. What does that mean? I pay attention to what I'm feeling and what my body is feeling and what's going on. And oh my God, the more you pay attention to what's in front of you, you see the amazingness. You see the amazing beauty, the depth of the other person. And it's just extraordinary. And it's like you think going to a movie is good. Get to where your ability to perceive who's in front of you and what's going on in the moment. Oh man, it's just infinitely entertaining. And there, you don't have to make major changes in your life. You don't have to say, next year when I'm living in the city of my dreams, or when I have the mate of my dreams, or when I finally break out of poverty or out of financial struggle. No, these are crappy strategies. But show up in the moment, and you get to experience how extraordinarily beautiful and rich people are in the life that you're in. And then everything's entertaining. You have a delivery from the UPS guy has happened this morning, and we had an exchange. You check out at a grocery store, and you notice that the grocery checkout person is in a slightly better mood than you are. And you receive the blessing, the nurturing that they're doing to you.
You know what I've noticed this one is on vacation.
Yeah.
I'll be in a separate city, and everybody seems amazing. Like, I want to move there because they're amazing in Philadelphia.
Right.
Or wherever.
Exactly.
And some places are special, but I think is really happening more than anything is because I put myself out of my loops.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed because I'm on vacation and I don't have all that stuff going on. I'm doing a very simple thing.
That's right.
I'm showing up for the people around me. The people in Philadelphia, God bless you, aren't better than the people in Sarasota. There are amazing people here, and there are amazing people there. And if I'm capable of showing up for them and seeing them and smiling with them and whatever, there's a million little opportunities like the ones you named all day long, all over the place.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And the worst case scenario is you get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that there's a reason why you're comfortable and you make a choice to back away. Or there isn't a reason uncomfortable. And it's just a wave of discomfort coming through both of you. And you accept the discomfort. And that'll allow you to show up because you're accepting whatever is going on. And then the veil lifts and you get to see the rest of the scene, what's underneath. Yeah, so cup half empty? Well, the last thing I'd like to say about that is be cautious about that cup half empty. If you catch yourself doing it a lot, you start seeing the negative aspect of what's going on and you find yourself getting skeptical. Have mercy on yourself, because we are genetically programmed to, and we're coming off of ancient people, and it's still in our genes to have the negative bias, because those are the ones of us who are genetically still alive. But watch out for it. If there's an excessive amount of negativity, the bottom of the negativity is fear. And so get good at fear. So get at recognizing, feeling, and accepting your fear, and make a different choice. You can do it in a moment. You can say, look at this, I'm just fear-laden right now. Do I really want to think about how awful this is going to be and how negative that's going to be, and get lost in my head and lost in my brain and lost in my story? Today I heard a definition of enlightenment was of transcendence. The transcendence that we need to do is to leave the stories of our thinking mind. That's what we're trying to transcend. These excessive stories, I love my mind. It's amazing what the gifts of my mind.
Yeah.
But when I spin off into some negative story, cup half empty, oh, I'm focusing on your weaknesses. Good for me. I get to be the final arbiter of who's good and who's bad, right? And just ruin everybody around me.
Yeah.
So make a choice. If you see excessive and inappropriate, cup half empty, go to the, what else is going on here?
And make a choice with people. Is my bias going to be towards kindness?
Yes.
Or is my bias going to be towards discovering people's faults?
And judging the heck out of it.
Judging the heck out of it and making certain they know their faults.
And we polarize.
Yeah.
And look at America today.
Yeah.
It's like there's two different human races going on here, and it's not true. And we're all human, and we found our way into going up into our mind and into the cup half empty galore politically.
Yeah.
And we want to retreat from that and get back down to, we're all in this one together. We want to get this one good together.
As you know, on my car, I custom made some bumper stickers.
Yeah.
On the left side of my car, it says, Democrats, listen to and learn from Republicans. And on the right side of my car, it says, Republicans, listen to and learn from Democrats. And in the middle, it says, even now and especially now.
Yeah.
Because what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Are we going to just keep...
We got to find the beauty. We
And
got to find the cup half full, and behind the cup half full is this beautiful life that's available to us 3,000 times a day, or 10 good ones. And at the end of every day before I go to sleep, I think, what were the highlights of my day? And it's always about, I showed up for the moment and I saw the beauty in somebody. Or we shared a laugh. Or we played a little bit with our minds, experimented with.
Or we reached across some gulf.
That's right.
Some distinct difference between the way we perceive life, that we saw each other's vision.
Exactly.
That's a nice thing.
It's a great thing.
I hold, back on the politics for just a second, I hold this dream that some year soon there will be a presidential run where I go back and forth between, that's amazing and cool and neat and different, and I hadn't thought of it like that, when one person speaks. And then the other person of a very different persuasion with entirely different views kindly espouses their views. And I go, oh yeah, that's amazing, I get that, isn't that fantastic?
Right.
And we don't have to agree, but we do have to listen and care and look for qualities in one another that we like and appreciate, and it's a healthy place to be.
Well, we've bounced around to a million different places. You get into the complexities of human life, and there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the roads all lead to the moment, and in the moment, there is life and there is the beauty. So let's head there. Let's go there. And if we have to accept someone else's discomfort along the way or our own, That's how we'll get to reunite with ourself, because we're reuniting with the uncomfortable part of ourself that's given us trouble all of our lives. And that'll give us the acceptance to also accept that other side. So the practice is see what's going on in your moment and accept it. And develop that muscle for personal acceptance. And you'll find, as you turn the microscope on and what's going on in yourself, a lot to accept there. And get good at that muscle of acceptance, and then that will actually practically allow you to sit with anybody, whether they're happy, or they're upset, or they're sad, or they have a divergent view. You'll be foundationally, you've accepted your own self, your own humanness, your own soul. You got access to their deeper self, the deeper I. That's how we reunite this place on a moment-to-moment basis, so you can do this in your life. We can all do this, practice all day long. We don't have to go to India or go do a seminar. Or our own lives, as they're unfolding every moment, give us the opportunity to see what's going on, accept what's going on, and that'll take us deeper. And that'll gain us access to living, which is very healthy for the human being. So perhaps enough for today, do you think?
I do.
Is there more that you'd like to add to this?
No, I think I've said my piece.
Yes, this is our segment on living is good for health. Because we all know that stress is not good for health.
Yeah.
So what is good for health? Living real life, where your heart is connected, your appreciation is connected, you're seeing the beauty, you feel like you're having a real life. How do you have a real life? It's not going to some far out island where you can be grumpy on a beach, as you were mentioning.
Yeah.
It's going to some very near spot called this moment. Here I am. I'm in this moment. I hear my own voice. I feel my own body. I experience you. That's where the big fun is.
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
I'm David,
I'm
Dr.
Josh.
Rosensweet.
Not doctor.
And you've tuned into I Wonder Doctor Live. So it's always an honor and privilege to be with you all.